Rogers TV St. John's.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hey guys, we're back for another episode of Tobin Tonight. I can't believe it. They're making me work on my birthday. Rogers. Holy. I'm just kidding. It's great. It's awesome. This guest that we've had on, she's only one of 4 people to win both short track and long track Olympic gold. 1 of 4. Let me get my hands in order here. I was about to say 4. That's not 4. This is 4. Think it through, Brian. Educated. This week's guest, we have Valérie Maltais. I think you're really going to enjoy it because, listen, I always tell people these are conversations, all right? They're not interviews. We get to converse with people. We get to be honest. I get to tell them, listen, I don't really follow your sport as much. Like speed skating, to be honest, I don't keep up with speed skating. But that's the beauty of it. We're in this together. We're both stupid. We're both dumb. Okay, Rogers probably don't want me to say that. We're both learning. We're both getting educated. But Valerie's going to explain to us all about speed skating. She's going to talk about how originally her dad put her in speed skating because he wanted her to be involved in hockey. Sound familiar, people? You put your child in speed skating hoping they turn out to be a hockey player, and that necessarily doesn't happen. But backup plan, to become an Olympic speed skater. Boom. Solid backup plan. Anyway, cue the intro music. Welcome to another episode of Tobin Tonight here with Valérie Maltais. Valérie, my very first question is, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm good. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well. We literally just moved into our new house here. So it's I usually have a better background than a red wall. But I figured that the red wall is somewhat symbolic because we're going to talk about being on Team Canada, the Olympics. So if it was like a blue wall, I'd be kind of oh, she's not going to like that at all.
So yeah, I think the red wall is just perfect.
Okay.
I'm actually at my dad's house right now. So.
Oh, okay. Because I was just about to ask you, if I start putting up Detroit Red Wings pictures here, you probably wouldn't like that as much, would you?
No, I'm cheering for the Leafs.
The Leafs. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a Leafs jersey, but I mean, I was tempted to wear it, but I was just what about if I wear a Leafs jersey? And then she's like, no, I don't like the Leafs. I would be like, oh man. I
know that the Leafs is a love and hate relationship, but it's fine.
Yeah. It's you know what? They'll go to, it's every year they'll go to the round 1. And then that's when people are like, all right, here's where the real Leafs show up. And then it's no, this year is going to be different. It's it's not though. It's not.
Yeah, I know. I'm marrying a guy from Toronto, so he's all about the history of the Maple Leaf. But hey, are we here to talk about the Maple Leafs? Or
That's true. That's a whole different podcast. Someone will be like, he had her on for 60 minutes, and all they talked about was Leafs. Does he know who he has on? I want to ask you first to kind of really get into things of the whole background, because now I followed the Olympics, which was hard because there was no fans in the stands pretty much, and it's just oh, okay, how do the athletes get up for this? That would be, I guess, my very first question for you is over in Beijing, different from other Olympics, how does that mindset play in, and how do you kind of stay focused? Because you're looking around, and usually when you have fans cheering you on or yelling out come on, give it that extra push, now it's just nothing.
Yeah. For sure it was quite different, especially for an Olympic game environment. But because of COVID, I think we got 2 years of doing World Cups with no crowd, no noise in the rink. So I would say that when I did my first World Cup we actually did a World Cup bubble in Europe in 2020 in 2021. We and there was like no crowd. That was weird. That was the weirdest moment of like, wow, there's like no noise right now. And we were especially in the Netherlands where usually it's like full house, and
Yeah.
now it was like totally quiet. And obviously like we arrive at the game, and like I've experienced previously 3 Olympics experience, and like I know that when there's 15,000 people in the stands, that's at the Olympics, that's the only place where we get that many people. And like your your ears are buzzing because there's just like so many noises. And obviously it was like quiet at the game, but there was some Chinese who were allowed to do a quarantine to go into the rank. And there was also more and more as the game went on, more and more Canadian. When your country was in competition, you could go and watch the event.
Okay.
So more and more there was like people. When we arrived at our final for the mass start, which was the last day of the Olympics, there was quite a lot of people. But for sure, it's not Olympic people. Like it's not
Yeah.
like how it is usually. But I mean, like when you're doing your performance, you're so just like focused on that. So like I've experienced the Olympics, like I said before, so I knew what it was. So I didn't feel that I was missing something because I knew what it was. And now I was just there. I'm here for business. And like, I'm here to like, I know what I have to do. And like, whether there's like people here in person, I know everyone is cheering at home. So it wasn't too much of a factor that affected my performance.
Yeah, so I want to ask you as a follow-up here, because like I know 2010 we were talking about in Vancouver, it's at home. Now, like when
Yeah.
you look at star athletes, and like for example, Michael Jordan didn't even make his high school basketball team. Turns out to be like the greatest player of all time in NBA. Like there's a lot of stories that you find like later on in life like that. Like what did you take out of where like I'm going to use the word like they didn't play you or they didn't put you on the ice per se in Vancouver? Like did that kind of motivate you to come back better or be like, all right, I have to make sure next time that it's not even an option, like they just go to me? Or did you kind of take that as like, all right, like I get it, I'm still young, I have to kind of earn my spot here? But like, because in my mind, if it was in me in that situation, there's two aspects. I'd look at my age and I'd be like, okay, who did they put out? Do they want more experience? But then in the back of my mind, I'd also be thinking a little bit like egotistical and being like, well, like, goddamn, I came all this way. Like, why are you putting me here? So, like,
Yeah.
what was your kind of approach?
I got a little bit of both, I would say.
Okay.
But when I qualified for my first Olympics in 2010, I was just freshly 19, and I think yes, I was young. I only did 2 Senior World Cup before qualifying for the Olympics. And in my mind, when I qualified in August 2009, and the Olympics are in February 2010.
Yeah.
In the history of short track speed skating, the women's team really always have won medals at the Olympics since they started in 1992. And so I was, before even being at the game, before like we're talking about 6 months before the Olympics, in my mind, I was like, all right, I'm on the Olympic team. I'll be a medalist in February. And like, that was a mistake, obviously. And I realized that only in February when I think I trained in a way of just like those 6 months, just like I got this, kind of like not learning or trying to be better, just like a little bit of I was there and like just keep doing what I was doing and just enjoying the ride. And I think like it was a good slap in the face at the Olympics, a good wake up call of like my first reaction is that I was mad at my coach, I was mad at my teammate, and then quickly I realized that like I need to point the finger at me. It's like this is my fault. Like I think I screwed this up. Like I don't think I put all the effort that I needed to do in order to be on that line at the Olympics. And so I came back home and I did an interview with a journalist who was trying to make me say that I was mad at my teammate and I was mad at everyone else. And I was like, no, you know what? Like, it's fine. I think the only person that I need to be mad at, it's me. And what I can say today is that I'm not gonna let my coach the doubt or the choice to put me
Yeah.
on the line or not in 2014. Valérie Maltais will be on that line in 2014, and up to that day, and then from that day, I was just like putting all of the effort that I could do. And that doesn't mean that I was finishing still all the training, because the training program is always created for your best athlete on the national team, to make sure that you're always pushing that person, always pushing the athletes to get better. And I wasn't the fastest. And so it's like I needed to put on some work. And my coach explained to me that when you're doing your 75% of the training program, that's your 100%.
Yeah.
So like once you understand that, you don't get discouraged, and like you have someone who's giving you feedback and taking data on you, and it's just like, even though you didn't finish, it's like, good job. And like
Yeah.
understanding what you need. Like there's a general program, but like we're 15 women on the team. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not one plan that was working for everyone. And like I think it's something that need to be explained and need to be understand all the time, I feel, in the high performance level, because you always want to prove yourself that, and prove sometime I
Yeah.
guess the other people also, that what you're worth and like what you're good at. And so that's what I did at training, and I think I saw a big improvement. In 2012 I became Canadian champion for the first time, like at the senior level. And then at the world championship 2 months later, I became vice world champion. And I did a few months later a world record in the 1,000 meter. Won my first like real senior World Cup medal. And in 2014 I finished that relay. Not only I was on the line, but I crossed the line like in that relay in Sochi. And it was just like, the feeling was just amazing, of like I proved to myself that I could keep a promise of like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do my best. And like, like never look back, but just like always looking forward, of just like, this happened, it's okay, let's look forward, like what can I take from this, and just like kind of always move on.
I did want to think that there's two aspects here that I like that involve the number 4, because it says here, because I've got it here in the notes here, but it's like in 2022, you were the first long track speed skater that you won gold medals in both short track and long track. It's only like 4 athletes to do that in the Olympics in terms of bringing home gold. But I also look, so that's the good. The bad was almost like there's a time frame here. I think it was like 2020 or 2012. You won bronze. There's a photo finish. And then there was like another one that you win silver, I believe. But it's like you had one that you won gold. And then it's like they said that you almost won 4 medals, but one of your, like in a team skate, one of your teammates had fallen down, and then you get disqualified. And I'm like, all right, so you got robbed of 4 medals, but on the other side, you're only like 4 people who have ever won short and long track. So like, I guess I want to ask you, are you more of a team player, or is it individual success? Because I won't leave you dry. I'm more of an individual guy, where I feel like if I lose, it's on me. If I win, all right, give me the credit. Where a team, I'm kind of like, sometimes I get carried by a team and I feel like I did nothing. I did shit. So it's almost like, yeah, great, I got this like medal, but I feel like I did nothing. But if we lose the medal, I'm also kind of like got to be a little bit humble of like, okay, that's not my problem that we lost the medal, but I can't go out and point fingers. So what are you? Are you a team player, or individual is like where I'm at?
I'm definitely a team player,
Okay.
where I think at first I think I got most of my success in team event, but I always did my individual event also, and I did have my success also. But being on a team, it's not only in the team pursuit in long track or in the relay in the short track, it's also on a daily basis at training also. Yeah. When we are in competition, when we are at training, first I cannot train alone. Like on the ice, I need people to push me. I need my teammates to do the laps, to do the speed, so I can try to chase them, or when it's my turn to pull them, and just like to push each other and like in the right direction. And when we arrive in competition, you're mentioning like, oh, one of your teammate fell. It's like, I don't even think about that. It's like, it's really a team effort of just like, yeah, we fell and this happened. It's really, I guess it's just with years, like, it's not even like something that I am forcing myself to think of. It's just like the way that I've been taught, I guess. And always like, I always need the people, like since I'm young, it's like, I need teammates. I need people around me. I like to be alone. Like I like to do my own thing also. And like sometime, and I have a quote of like I don't know if it's like translate very well in English, but silence is a friend who never gonna like give you a Trajan. No, does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I can imagine it. Yeah.
Oh, silence is a friend who's never gonna betray you. I think that's better.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes you need to be quiet. Like those people annoy me sometimes. It's like, yes, of course. And like, do you agree all the time with people? No. And like, I think it's just like something that at some point you just need to let it go a little bit of just like, I don't agree, but I don't need to say it. Like where is it gonna go? And I think that as a team sport, like I'm training with like I said, like 15 women on the team in short track. It's like we don't all agree and like we argue, and it's just like sometimes it's just like if that person you don't agree with her, just don't say anything, and tomorrow you're gonna be happy to see her again, you know. So.
Okay. That's fair. See, that would be the opposite of being on like a ball hockey or soccer team of mine, where it's like if I'm in net and I screw up, I'm literally like looking at my teammates and I'm like, all right, that's on me. But if it's like I screwed up because there's a defenseman in the way and they did, and I yelled out screen or you're in my way and they didn't move, then that's when I'm kind of like, why didn't you listen to me? And then I'm like, Brian, don't be so harsh. And I'm just still like, I'm just trying to make everyone better. Just trying to.
I think that having like with speed skating, I think that's the thing that is beautiful. Like either in short track or long track, you have your individual event. You have your own goals where you can just like think of you, and then after that you come up as a team. So I think there's a good balance of just like my performance, my success is not always depending on others. And I think it's really reassuring to go together, like in the team pursuit, for example. It's like I can share to Isabel or to Evany, like, oh, I feel nervous, or today I don't feel good, or today I feel good, girls. And like if I say I'm feeling good, and someone's like, oh, okay, I feel not so good, but like she's nervous too. Like we're sharing like how we feel.
Yeah.
And that's a really good it makes us feel better. Yeah.
It's a boost. Yeah. There you go. It's a booster. I feel like in most cases, if I'm on a team and I go, I feel good, they're just like, well, if he feels good, then we must feel like great because he's the weak link on our team. Like if the weak link on our team feels really good, we have to be very confident. And I'm just like, guys, could you whisper? Like I can hear you. You're saying it out loud.
There we go.
Yeah. I want to ask you, because like, again, with speed skating, like, you know, when we're younger, you pick a sport. I'll be honest. I figured I'd be a hockey player. I ended up getting into bowling, and people laugh at me for that. And I'm like, you know what? Fair, open door. But like, tell me a little bit about how you got into speed skating. Like, was there other options on the table? Because I know, like, going through your Instagram, it seems like you like biking as well. I kind of see that with like the summer of speed skating. It's almost like, well, if I can't speed skate, I'll bike. But like when you went to school and told people, like, I guess at age 6 you started, when you went to school and said, oh man, I'm in speed skating, were people like, speed skater over here?
I learned how to skate on figure skates. I was a figure skater for a few years. So I put my first skates at 3 years old, and I started figure skating, I think at really figure skate, I guess, from 4 to 6. I did a few competitions, but at the end of the day, I was always asking my coach to do a race from one end to the ice to the other, and so I always love that competition side. Always like, oh, do you want to race me? And like, but I was on my speed skate and my dress, and I think I up to this day I already have a figure skating always have a place in my heart.
Yeah.
But my mom saw that competitive side, and like she signed me up for speed skating when I was 6 at my hometown club. And I cried to not go on the ice, but also cried to not leave it. It was really like I loved it, like the first practice. And last year, I think my dad, for the first time, I was like, "Why you didn't tell me that before?" He said, "My strategy was like for you to go in short track and then play hockey. I wanted you to be a hockey player." And I was like, "Well, I guess I didn't. I never played hockey, and I'm really not good at it.
Yeah.
I know how to skate, but I don't know how to play with the puck."
Yeah. You'd be like the fastest skater, but then they'd be like, man, Marie-Philippe Poulin is always setting her up, and she's there, but she never taps it in. Why is she
No,
here?
I would not.
It's like she's keeping up with her the whole way through the ice. Like in most cases, she beats her to the end of the ice. But then it's like when she asks her to get set up, Poulin's coming to the bench going like, "What are you doing?" And she's like,
Yep.
"I can skate. I just can't finish."
She would be mad at me.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting because I was going to say, like, with speed skating, like if you're really involved in it and you talked about doing it on figure skates first, like I can imagine if we were talking to you as the figure skater, it's like, you know, when they do the programs for like dance competitions, it's literally like, you're like, okay, what song is she going to dance to? It's like, oh, Mumbo number 5. Then everyone's like really excited. And then all it is you going end to end of the ice back and forth. You see the scores and like someone's like 7. And then they're like, wow, she did really well considering she didn't do no triple sow cows, no nothing, but she got 7.
Like somehow I remember like my routine that I did like at this one competition. And I was dancing on the song from Beauty and the Beast that Celine Dion is singing.
Okay.
Well, back in the days, we could not use the lyrics. It was just like the
copyright
song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like I was starting my routine, and like my parents have it on video. So like I do a spin and I need to leave. And like halfway through, I'm like, oh shit, I'm going the wrong direction. So I just break and then go the other direction. So it's like I won a silver medal, but I guess they were giving medals to everyone.
Yeah,
but
it's almost like if that was like on national TV and you heard commentators be like, it seems like she's lost track of what she had to do, but she recovered quite well, but that's going to lose marks.
Yeah.
What kind of things would you be interested in doing? Because I know like a lot of athletes like going into broadcasting, and to me, it's a double-edged sword from someone who studied, went to communication school, and wanted to be in broadcasting. When I see an ex-athlete go into broadcasting, I was just like, man, that's my job. What are you doing? But at the same point, I understand that networks are like, well, she actually played this sport. What are you? And I'm just like, well, can I just be the talking guy and then she be the analytics person? Because like that works well. And they're like, nah. I'm just like, oh man, like why even have these programs? But like, is that something you look into, like broadcasting? If you say yes, I'll find you. No.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not gonna make you mad.
No. Okay, good.
I'm not gonna make you mad tonight. It's all right. No, actually, I did study as a dietitian, and when I did my internship, I found out that I preferred. I did maybe that class to just like for my own knowledge more than telling people how they should eat, I guess. And so now I'm doing a certificate in psychology and human resources, like management a little bit. And I did the communication bachelor. So it's like I'm mixing all of that because like now being older, like I've got like a few degrees, I guess. And so what I would like to do is being in this, I'm guessing I'll be in the sport when I'm all retired. But in English, that would be like just like a sport intervention, like managing like probably like a sport organization, or like being on the human resources side of just like helping an organization to build themselves like towards an event or
Okay.
toward just like the organization. So I feel that it's not really clear in a sense that I know what I would like to do, but I think there's just like not a specific title, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just what you're interested in. And if someone came up to you and said, "Hey, we see what you did for your education. Would you be interested in doing this? Because it actually kind of ties in everything that you've done." You'd be like, "Yes." But what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, you'd be asking.
Like
them,
I would be
last few
myself probably
college.
like manager or like coordinator or
Okay.
like director probably like of
The world. No.
like probably an organization, or like I would love to work with the COC, the Canadian Olympic Committee. And so yeah, just like being with the athletes, being with people, but maybe a little bit more in the background.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
I am breathing a sigh of relief because now I don't have to worry about you entering broadcasting, and then one day I apply for a job and they'd be like, actually, you won't believe it. You were top 3 in our finalists, but then Valerie just entered the room and she gets it. And I'd just be like, I'm going to send her a wordy email.
But I gotta say that if we ask me, I would probably love to try it.
Valerie?
That would be in French.
Okay, okay, that's fine. Because then
you don't want to hear my awful accent like on TV.
No, that's fine. Your English is better than like my French would be. So that's if that was the deciding factor, they'd be like, but she can speak English. Can you speak French? I'd be like, get me Valerie on the phone right now. I got a few words.
There's a few words that I need to avoid that it's like so hard to pronounce. So like doing saying hair or air, it's like so hard to make sure that I don't miss it. Like,
but I feel like people would give you the pass because it's French, right? Like it's like if you come down here and listen to a Newfoundland sport, and then they're going like, what did he do? What is he at? And then they'd be like, Newfoundlanders would understand it, but someone like Eastern Ontario or Quebec would be like, what does he mean? What is he at? And I'd be like, oh, come here. I'll tell you. I'll explain it. Valerie, I loved having you. It was a great chat.
Yeah, stay positive. Don't say too much that you suck at things. I think you're great. You're great at this. Actually, I don't know you, but you're great at this.
Oh, well, that's good. See, I will use that now for when they ask me, who do you want, Valerie or Tobin? And I'll be like, well, actually, Valerie recommended me. And it's like, she didn't really recommend you. She just said you were good. And I'd be like, but isn't that the same thing?
That's going to do it for this episode of Tobin Tonight. Our thanks to Valérie Maltais for coming on to the show. Remember, you can find past, present, and future episodes on TobinTonight.com, Spotify, and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment or two. For Tobin and myself, this is Jacob saying thank you for listening, and good night.